Hey everybody, today I wanted to bring you along as I'm planting up about a half a dozen restaurant containers here in downtown Chicago. We are in the West Loop neighborhood specifically. As you can see, I've got a full truck bed of plants. I've got six kind of window box style containers that are in a partly shaded location. You can see they get a good block of morning sun now, but they will be kind of shaded from through the rest of the day. So that's really evident in the plant choices that I've made. The first thing that I'm using is a standard red begonia. These do fantastic in Chicago, so I use them quite often. The next one is a coleus. I think this will make a really nice contrast with the begonia. The next one is a diamond frost euphorbia. This is another one of my favorites, especially in the kind of midsummer. They can really handle the heat and the, drying out a little bit better than some other plants can. And then the last one that I'm using is a sedum. This is another one of my favorites. It can be kind of hard to find good plants to use this time of year. It is mid-July right now, and by this point in the year, a lot of nurseries have, sold through a lot of their stock, and so it can be harder to find, what I'm looking for. Luckily, I was able to find some really nice plants for this project. So why don't we get started, and then I will come back and show you what it looks like when I'm all done. So you can see these containers really haven't been refreshed in a while. They've got some leftover pansies, some dianthus, and some other random stuff that I assume were from spring plantings. Containers like this, especially in the city and really high traffic areas and ones that aren't huge, really need replaced a good few times a year. I always say at least 4 is where I find kind of the sweet spot. So I'm going to start by pulling out everything that's in here, including the majority of the soil. If you don't get quite all of it, it's not a big deal, but you want to replace most of it. These plants have used pretty much all of the nutrients in here, so it's important to replace it with fresh soil and fresh nutrients. Now that I've gotten the container all cleared out, I'm going to start filling it up with soil. And I am using the brand ProMix. This is one of my favorite potting soils, but you can really use any all-purpose, high-quality potting soil. It's important to make sure that you don't buy garden soil. You specifically want something designed to be used in containers. It's a lot lighter, it's a lot more drainage than something that you would use in the garden. And you can see I'm only doing these one at a time. If this were a bigger project and I was doing 12 or 18 or 24 of these containers, I would probably, do clear them all out, fill them all up with soil, and do it a little bit more efficiently. But given that this is such a small project, I'm just going to kind of do them one by one, and it shouldn't take me too long. I'm only going to fill it maybe a little more than halfway filled with soil. I'm putting 15 plants in each of these containers. At least that's my plan. So there's a lot of soil, included in the pots, in the balls of the plants already. And so if I filled it all the way up, I would have too much and I'd be taking soil out later. So like I said, I'm only going to fill it up maybe a little bit more than halfway. And then if I need to come back and add more soil in later, then I can do that. So I've gotten all of my plants laid out, and as you can see, I'm using 3 begonias, 2 coleus, 2 sedums, and then 8 of the euphorbias. Now, this is obviously a lot of plants for this container. I'm doing this so that, they look great from day one. There will be people dining at this restaurant this afternoon, and so I want to make sure that these look presentable and show-stopping starting today. With containers like this, when you're planting them this heavily, it's important to keep in mind that you will have to water them more, you'll have to fertilize them more, but this is typically what I recommend, especially for commercial installations. It's a lot of plants, but it just looks better, from the beginning. So I'm going to go ahead and start getting these planted. These containers are only 4 inches deep, so I don't have a ton of room to work with. But I'm going to take it and I'm going to plant them like I would any other plant. If the root balls need it, I'll loosen them up a little bit, but I find that most of the time with annuals like this, it really isn't needed to loosen them up. What is important is to make sure that there is soil packed all the way around the root ball. You don't want to pack it in too tightly, but you want to make sure that the entire root ball is covered. You don't want to leave any of the roots exposed. I really love this sedum for the contrast that it provides against the other plants, especially like the darker foliage of the begonia. Okay, so I've gotten this first container completely planted. I'm going to go on and move on to the other 5 containers, and then I will come back and show you how I'm going to water these in, fertilize them, and then clean up this whole mess that I'm making. Okay, so I've gotten all 6 containers planted and most of my mess cleaned up, and in the process got myself covered in dirt. But my very last step in the process is going to be to fertilize these containers and water them in well. I'm going to be fertilizing them with this Bloom liquid plant food. This is actually my brand of plant food, so I'm a little bit biased, but it's very good. And so in this watering can, I've got 4 liters of water, and the dilution rate is 4 pumps of Bloom per liter of water. So I'm going to go ahead and put 16 pumps of fertilizer in this watering can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then I'm just going to water it in well, as, you know, would we. So then to care for these plants, they're going to need water about every day because, you know, we're in the middle of summer and there's a lot of plants in here. You can use Bloom at every watering, so you can fertilize them every day. In this case, I'll probably use Bloom about once a week, and that should keep them blooming and looking great all season long. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe now.